Let's take a brief look at imperatives and polite requests. They're nearly the same thing. First, imperatives. We're going to use imperatives to give directions or orders. In imperative statements, we don't actually say the subject. The subject is implied. The subject is you. It could be you singular or you plural. And we're going to use the base form of the verb, or we're going to use negative don't with the base form. So here are some examples. Our basic sentence structure is base verb, could be something as simple as sit, right? Who is going to sit? You. Could be a classroom, could be a child, a single child, many children, could be any number of people. Sit. We don't actually need the object clause, but generally we do have the object clause. Speak freely, right? In this case, our object clause is actually an adverb, right? So speak freely means anyone can speak, feel free to speak. Who is going to feel free to speak? The audience, whoever is listening to the person speaking. Next, stand behind the line. This is pretty common. You'll see this in buses and train stations, public transportation. Who is going to stand behind the line? The passengers are going to stand behind the line. The subject is implied. Give up your seat to elderly people when they are present. So here's our base verb, give up your seat, and then to whom? To elderly people when they are present, when they're on the train. And sit quietly and read pages 33-34. So we have two base verbs here, sit quietly and read pages 33-34. We can combine two imperative statements using and. Right? Pretty simple. We can make them slightly more polite by using please. So we can use please in a couple of different places. I suppose I can put parentheses like this. Use please here, or we can use please at the end with a comma. Right, so please walk cautiously when the traffic signal is flashing. Right, walk, there's our base verb, cautiously, when the traffic signal is flashing. That's all sort of additional stuff that we can tack on to the end. Please take your books and go to the library. Again, we have these two imperatives here. Take your books and go to the library. Please wash your hands before returning to work. And then we can also put please at the end. Let's say, eat with your, I'll say chew. Chew with your mouth closed, please. The important thing to remember when putting please at the end is that you need this comma here. You don't need a comma, obviously, when please is at the beginning. You do need a comma when please is at the end. Another example, play nicely, please. Okay, so please can go at the beginning or end. It is optional. If it's at the end, it needs a comma before it. When we make the negative, we'll frequently make the negative with imperatives. We have both positive rules or suggestions or directions, and then we have negative rules, things that we're not supposed to do. So we put don't. Please is completely optional, not necessary. Please don't look at other students' test papers. Please makes it slightly more polite. We could also say don't look at other students' test papers. We could say don't talk, but instead we say please don't talk. We could also say don't talk, please. Completely optional. Right, so I can put this in parentheses. Please don't push while entering the building. Or, more simply, don't push while entering the building. Again, we can put please at the end of the sentence. Put this in parentheses. If it's at the end, whether it's positive or negative, we need that comma in front of it. Remember the space after a comma. Space not before a comma, but after a comma. Don't be a bully, please. Or, more simply, don't be a bully. Don't take more than one free snack, please. Or, again, more directly, don't take more than one free snack. Don't wear your shoes in the house, please. Or, don't wear your shoes in the house. Up to you. We can also take those imperatives, those more authoritative directions or orders, and we can change them into polite requests using can, could, or would. Would and could have exactly the same meaning. Can is used in the same way generally, but can also have a different meaning. They are modals. Can is a modal of ability, but again in practice it is often used interchangeably with would and could. Right? So here's our basic sentence structure: would, could, can. Then we are going to state the subject, you. Please is optional here or at the end. I'm going to use a base verb, and then an optional, generally present object clause. Example, would you please help your brother with his homework? We would put only one please, not would you please help your brother with his homework, please. And notice where please goes. Please goes after you. Please does not go before you. Please does not go before would. Please does not go between the base verb and the object clause. Please goes either here or at the end, and only there. Could you speak louder, please? There's our example. Notice we have the comma there. Absolutely necessary to have the comma. Can you show me how to do this math problem? And I've used can as a modal of ability here. Can you show me how to do this math problem? Means not only will you show me, or would you show me, but it also means are you able to show me? Do you know how to do it such that you can or you are able to show me how to do it? Again, in practice we use can interchangeably with would and could most often, but it does have the additional element of meaning that somebody has the ability to do something. Another example, would you meet me after school to talk about this? No please in this sentence, not necessary. It makes it slightly more polite, but these are all polite requests, whether they have please or not. Could you pick me up some lunch while you're out? Means the person is going out, and this person would like to know, please would you get me some lunch while you are out driving around? And finally, can you play basketball this afternoon? And not only means do you want to or would you play with us, please, but it also means are you able to. Generally, I would suspect this is related to time. Do you have time to play basketball this afternoon? Whether or not a person is good at basketball doesn't really affect their ability to play. So again, while can is generally interchangeable with would and could, it does have that additional meaning of ability. It's important that you use statement word order when asking for directions to a place. You don't use the question order even though there's a question mark at the end. Could you tell me where the cafeteria is? And then if you wanted to make an imperative, you're just going to say, tell me where the cafeteria is. With all of these. To make the imperative, just take off the question mark, take off the subject, and say, help your brother with his homework. Speak louder, please. Show me how to do this math problem. Meet me after school to talk about this. Pick me up lunch while you're out. Play basketball this afternoon. Those are the imperatives. So you're going to keep that sentence order the same. If you wanted to make a question, where is the cafeteria? You're going to take that be verb and put it up closer to the beginning of the sentence. But if you're making a polite request, you're going to keep that sentence order the same as if it were an imperative. Okay. Would you please show me where room 2036 is? Because we have our imperative right there. To take an imperative and make a polite request, all you have to do is put would, could, or can plus the subject, you. That's as simple as can be right there. Would you please show me where room 2036 is? And then again, can you tell me what the meaning of this word is? Our imperative is just right there. Tell me what the meaning of this word is. Right? So we're going to make a polite request by adding our subject and putting that modal at the beginning, plus slap a question mark on the back end of it. So the important things to remember here are the comma before please. We're not going to put the subject in any of these imperatives, but to make a polite request, we're just going to put a modal plus a subject, keep that sentence order the same. Right? Optional please, it only goes here. Right? It goes at the beginning of the imperative or the end of the imperative. Right? Remember that when you're making your polite requests. If you had an imperative, You just take off that modal and subject. The please goes at the beginning or at the end with a comma. Right? To make the polite request into an imperative, just take off that modal and subject. It should be rather simple.